Welcome to Hungarian Horizon, a podcast about Hungary, its people, and their stories. My name is Balázs Frei.
And I'm Bálint.
Here with us today is Péter Csákvári, a photographer of international renown, creator of the wildly successful Tiny Wasteland, which has won third place in the Sony World Photo Awards. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So, when did you first get interested in photography?
Ever since I was a child, I was 8, and I found my mother's old cameras, and I remember I was making photos about my Legos and my toys and things like that, and I always liked to capture everything around me, like even my voice. I had a dictaphone at that time, and I made a radio podcasts at that time and things like that. So yeah, it's all started when I was a child.
And what did you do before becoming a photographer?
I was a chef.
You were a chef. And where were you a chef?
Wow, that's a long story. Almost everywhere around the world, because I was a chef in a cruise ship first. First I was a chef at home, of course, in Budapest. But soon, when I was 20, I went to America and I applied for a job in a cruise ship, and we were cruising around the world. It was because of the traveling. I was traveling around the world. I saw so many beautiful places, so I had to buy a camera, and I wanted to buy a camera, so that was my original plan. If I become a chef, I get some money, I buying a camera, and I'm gonna be a photographer for sure. But I didn't know I wanted to be a food photographer. But it was obvious because I was a chef. So in the kitchen, where I was always working like 12 hours or more, often I just had my camera in the kitchen, and I was too tired to go out, so I decided to make photos of the food, and I started to like that, and somehow I just became a food photographer when I came home.
And what is Tiny Wasteland?
Well, it's a word for me, like it's a tiny wasteland actually, but I'm still thinking about what is Tiny Wasteland. Also something interesting this because of the macro, because if you get very close to objects, the real size objects in the pictures, sometimes you see that object closer than you usually see, and it's a very different feeling. Like, I don't know, like real sized grotesque and disgusting things could be beautiful, and if you close enough, like mold, that could be a grassy field.
So what was the main inspiration behind Tiny Wasteland?
Well, the miniatures. Like, I always loved the miniature things. Like, when I was a kid, I found a brochure in my closet, and it was about train modeling. But I was like 6. There was a picture about plotting board with trains, model figures, and things like that. And I was in love with the brochure. Like, it was with me, like wherever I went, like to the school, it was in my pocket. And at the end, it just disappeared because I used that thing. So. Yeah, it was somewhere in my brain, deep down, and it just disappeared by time. And then when I was in this island called Herm in the English Channel, that was my last chef job, and it's a tiny island. And in a rainy day, I was walking in Guernsey, that's the next island, and I found a train model shop, and there was small figures there for train modeling, and I bought one because I wanted to make macro photos, but I was like bored of the nature there in that island, because I personally knew every single bug and plant in that island. So I bought these figures and some blueberries, but not because of that, but they were in the same bag. And when I get home, I just put together them in a rock, in a mossy rock in that island, and there was an incredible sunset that day, and I was with my back of that sunset, and people like saw that like I'm making a picture of a small rock, and the word beauteous sunset is just behind me. What the hell is going on? and that was my first picture, and I really liked that, because it was like something else with the macro lens. Like that was a word in my pocket. Like that was another word. The moss was a grass, and the blueberries were giant blueberries, and that was incredible.
So, can you tell us which one is your favorite picture and why?
Maybe my very favorite is Lucia is sleeping with the pickles now. That's because that reminds me of a Godfather movie, like who's sleeping with the fishes, and there was that pickle, the tin of pickle, or can, or befőttes üveg.
It's a jar of pickles.
Yeah. So there was this jar of pickles, and if you look into the jar of pickles inside, it's like a dirty lake, like where the bad people and killers dump the dead bodies. So I did this, and I dumped the dead body. Lucia,
not real, a miniature.
Yes. A miniature girl with the duct tape in her mouth, and that was actually very hard to make that duct tape, because there was like 1/2 millimeter or something, the duct tape, and I had to make it like straight, like oh my god. And I put her in the jar, and I really love that picture. That's the only one Tiny Wasteland picture on my wall.
Are you planning to hold any exhibitions after the pandemic?
Yes, the next one is gonna be in Moscow.
In Moscow?
Yeah.
How come?
Instagram guy just found me, and he offered me a Russian tour, actually, in food carts.
Well, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for talking to us. It's been an honor having you.
Thank you to invite me.
Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell icon.